You're with Julian on the Brown Note and a near Will Smith 3 Oscars Roundup. I do my Oscars Roundup every year. And this year has been slightly dominated by one event, which actually hides the weakest Oscars in history. It was the weakest selection of films. I've said before, 2021 was the weakest year for music and movies this century by a country mile. And the winners were terrible. So, even last year, there were so many great films. Films like, Nomadland, the only film I've ever given 10 out of 10 to on first release, and Promising Young Woman. There were some real powerhouse films, and there was just nothing across the board. My own very quick thoughts on the Will Smith thing. What should have happened is they should have removed someone who violently assaulted one of their presenters. They had a duty of care to look after the presenter and did nothing. They left him hanging up there on his own. Most astonishing thing I've ever seen. I like Will Smith. They needed to throw Will Smith out. They needed to bar him from being part of the Oscars, and they needed to rescind his award. And he has come days later to a similar conclusion, I would feel. I wouldn't be surprised if he gave it back. But I think the thing that really stuck in my throat here was the reaction of a lot of people from my side of politics about basically using the same justifications for what Will Smith did that you would use to justify a man abusing a woman. All you have to do is change Chris Rock into a woman and use that paradigm and see how that flies. Lots of people saying that, Will was a hero and that Chris Rock was a villain, and that no one should be allowed to take the mickey out of her physical condition. Well, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's that's what comedians do. Usually someone is a butt of a joke. You live or die on whether that joke's accurate, truthful, or funny. You don't get to be off limits, and we're trying harder and harder to make so much in comedy off limits when it is at the vanguard of human expression. It's some of our most complex and sophisticated methods of communication when it comes to irony and satire and shock. And what he said was like a 3 out of 10. Almost all comedians at award ceremonies are roasting the people in the audience. So it's not an unusual thing, a joke, and it was a 3 out of 10 compared to any Ricky Gervais thing. But anyway, it was a terrible... I think the number one story at the Oscars this year was how Jane Campion reversed to defeat. She was going to be given every award under the sun, and she lost almost all of them because she said that the Williams sisters, ironically, the story of the Williams sisters seems to be everywhere at the Oscars this year, given the whole Will Smith side of it, invoking their father. And I think Jane Campion lost Best Picture because she said that Serena and Venus Williams didn't have to fight against men like she did, blowing up in the last few weeks. And that probably cost her a lot. I think the other big story is how a film as bad as June, which was my worst film of last year, number one worst film. I gave The Power of a Dog a 6 out of 10. I was not blown away by it. June was my number one worst film. Picking up something like 7 Oscars, it didn't deserve hardly any of them. Everyone's going on about how his, the production design side of the film is a masterpiece. I don't believe so at all. Blade Runner 2049? Absolutely. This one, no way. The lists of films, Best Supporting Actress, West Side Story, I have no idea. None of the other ones have stood out to me. I love Kirsten Dunst. And she was strong in The Power of the Dog, but like her and Jesse Plemons, their characters seemed to be stopped written after a certain point, and she just sort of vanished. June won Best Sound. I didn't rate the production design on June at all, but the other films are hot. No Time to Die, Power of the Dog, West Side Story, and Belfast. Best Original Score, I think that's a terrible win for June. I've said many times Hans Zimmer's scores are a bellwether for whether a film is any good or not. His score for Blade Runner 2049, an excellent film, was excellent. His score for June was one of the most bombastic, in-your-face and relentless scores of his career. I hated it. It definitely shouldn't have won. Coda snuck in under the Jane Campion scandal, which got blown out of the water. It would have been much more talked about. Picked up Best Adapted Screenplay. It sounds like Drive My Car should have won that one, the Best Foreign Language Film or Best Non-English Film or whatever they call it these days. And Best Original Screenplay, Don't Look Up. It should have won it easily over Belfast. Very, very imaginative film, and I thought a very timely one. I would have probably given it Best Picture, to be honest. Best Supporting Actor, I haven't seen Coda, but Jesse Plemons was great for 20 minutes in The Power of the Dog, and they just stopped writing his role. He just disappeared for the rest of the film. June won Best Film Editing. I didn't think any of that side of it was good. Half the film had good cinematography, half had very bland cinematography. I thought the action sequences in June were really badly put together, so how that picks up in Best Editing. Summer of Soul Best Documentary, that's the one standout I would have said is that's a definite win for that one. It was an amazing year for music documentaries. We had the Get Back documentary from Peter Jackson, not nominated, don't know what's going on there, and so could the Velvet Underground, the Todd Haynes Velvet Underground documentary could have been nominated. 3 brilliant. Summer of Soul I still haven't reviewed, but I would easily give a 9 out of 10. Brilliant, brilliant documentary. Best Original Song, the worst winner of the lot. Billie Eilish has been a bane in my life. She just gets in everywhere, and her really bland, typical dull Bond theme goes alongside Sam Smith's equally dour, miserable, boring Bond theme with an Oscar win. How did they get an Oscar win? Cinematography. Now we get interesting. Nightmare Alley, I thought, was one of the most underrated films in the whole list of the Oscar films, and I thought the production design on that wiped the floor with June. It looked magnificent. June was just reliant on spaceships landing slowly on planets. There wasn't anything that memorable about it. The worm, maybe a little bit, but a lot of the other cinematography, and it was naff. Nightmare Alley looked magnificent. Best International Feature was Drive My Car. That seemed to be a definite winner. Best Production Design, again, Nightmare Alley over June any day of the week. Best Visual Effects, June versus... Well, I mean, Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man, No Way Home. There's just nothing in there. Best Actress, I do love Jessica Chastain. I haven't seen The Eyes of Tammy Faye, but it's not got particularly great reviews, to be honest. Best Actor, Will Smith, I would say, deserved to win and then have it taken off of him. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was unbelievably brilliant in the opening half hour of Power of the Dog, where I thought I was in for something special, a performance of the ages, this horrible person, but it just became too light and melodramatic after that. It was like everything got diluted, so his character went away. I said at the time, I gave King Richard a really good review that I thought Will Smith deserved it. It's the best performance of his career. It's a very actorly performance as well. I thought he was fantastic in that. Campion did win Best Director, again out of that list. I think I still haven't seen Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza, but I'm going to give it to him. Just because everything I've seen him do has been a work of art. And Best Picture, I mean, I haven't seen Coda, but it's getting some cheesy reviews, and I think my favourite film out of all of the ones that I've seen is Nightmare Alley, which again, you wouldn't put that as Film of the Year. I don't think anyone would. So it was a really bad selection of nominees. It was a really bad pool of talent film-wise to choose from in the first place, and a really bad selection of winners where they just gave every technical award to June, my worst film of the year, when I didn't think that the production design or the soundstage or the score or the cinematography were even that good. So, the worst Oscars ever.